So January is a month that is probably going to be full of mainly patches for Warframe, hotfixes, or slapping the band-aid onto the many broken items that got dropped on us just before the holidays in December. Today's patch was the first of what is to come. It's a start, but more is definitely needed. This patch has some wanted changes to railjack bugs and crashes, but also changes that you may not be too happy with. So let's just quickly go over them. The rush repair drones have been removed from the market so that you can't bypass the repair process of engine parts and that for real money. You can, however, get them as rewards at the end of a railjack mission, so now there is no longer a pay to skip option. You will also get some increased amount of resources like asterite from missions, which will hopefully speed up some of the repair process, but repair costs definitely still need to be looked at. Doubling one resource isn't exactly going to cut it. Maybe a future patch will bring down those repair costs. That's something that I think a lot of us would be really happy to see. The intrinsics farm that a lot of you were using over the holiday period to max out your 4 intrinsics have been stopped, nerfed, ended, whatever you want to call it. You can no longer keep the intrinsics that you earn in a mission once you abort that mission. So running that Grineer Galleon ship with Ivara and then aborting at the end of it and not completing the mission will mean you don't get to keep any of those intrinsics. Honestly, this was bound to happen, and it's probably the best way they could have touched it, because if they had have touched the stealth farm, then Idaro would have been shafted for a lot of us with how we level up our weapons. And to be honest, the grind from all of this intrinsics farm, if you took part in it, has probably accelerated your burnout for the game, because I know it definitely would have for me. Now, something that they've also mentioned in these patch notes is that they are reviewing Railjack's vacuum range. Just do us a favour, DE, right? Just increase the fucking range with it and move on. Why do you need to review vacuum? What's the issue other than you not wanting to give your player base the actual resource that they get in a mission, and by not doing that you want them to keep playing the game for longer? That's the only reason I can see that you wouldn't want us to have a very large vacuum on Railjack. Keep them playing it that little bit longer, more grind, increase it all. Like a lot of players, I enjoy the combat in Warframe. That's what I spend my time doing, not spending time searching for tiny little specks, different coloured specks in open space that are scattered everywhere or hidden behind meteors. Why is vacuum such a big issue with the Warframe developers only? So many games have it, no issues whatsoever. But no, DE keep acting like Gollum over a fucking vacuum. Now, another big change is that enemy ships in Railjack will have their armor values halved, and their health values will be increased by about 30% or so to compensate. Enemy ships were apparently too hard to kill, and it left us with no choice but to use the Cryophon as the go-to weapon. And since they don't want Railjack to have the culture of a one damage type or one weapon type in the mission, one weapon type to rule them all, more changes had to be made. So enemies' armor have been halved and their health has been increased by about 25 to 30%. Now, as a result of them not wanting one weapon to rule them all, the Cryophon has been nerfed by a huge amount. My Vidar Cryophon dealt 14,000 damage before the patch, and now it deals 6,900 damage, so about a 50% nerf, give or take. Now, they never give us the exact percentage of what they have reduced it by. I'm only going off what mine dealt in a previous video compared to what it deals now. They've reduced its damage and increased its damage fall off, but to be honest, the damage fall off still feels the same. So that's the Cryophon nerf. But what about the other weapons? Do they bring any of those up? The Pulsar series of weapons has been buffed, base damage and fall off has been increased. The Phothor series of weapons have also had their damage fall off increased. All Zekti weapons have had their heat acceleration decreased, except for the Cryophon, which stays the same. So Zekti weapons will now heat up at half the speed except for the Cryophon. So again, that Cryophon is going to really suffer, and I know a lot of you have the Cryophon just like me. Now it's probably going to be best to search for a different weapon. They've also decreased the effectiveness of particle damage type, but increased its duration. The particle damage type in Railjack basically increases the damage that enemies take once they're affected by that particle status effect. So now particle damage is down to 7.5% damage bonus per hit, but it does of course stack. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Arcwing weapons dealing particle damage, or even with my Railjack weapon, so I have no idea how big of an impact this is going to make. Now, your chances of obtaining wreckage at the end of a mission, cough cough, Vidar Reactor, have now been doubled, which means they had to reduce the chance of getting relics. Hopefully this reduces the grind for ship parts as well for a lot of you, engines, reactors and so on. Now one thing I didn't see in this round of patch notes was them changing stats of those reactors, like the avionic capacity, because at the minute you could still get a Vidar one that would be worse than the stock one that the ship comes with. Hopefully that's a change that gets added soon as well, unless I missed that in the patch notes. If I did, let me know. Battle avionics have now had their chances to drop increased. Basically they can now drop off all elite fighters in deep space, which is great because I had put, I don't know if it was 20 or 30 hours into Railjack and I hadn't seen one battle avionic. I had to go to the trade chat once they allowed them to be traded to pick up my first battle avionics. So now they're going to drop off all elite ships in deep space, which is fucking great. Railjack has got issues. We all know it has a lot of issues, and I will leave a link to the patch notes in this video's description. Hopefully this is the start of getting it fixed or getting it right. Like I said before, when it works, it's fun. It just all over Christmas didn't fucking work. But there are still some bugs that they need to fix that are causing crashes. Still not looking at the repair costs of certain ship parts or at the grind as well. Vacuum also could do with being looked at. And the fact that it's just another game mode which survives on its own with no real connection to the rest of the game is kind of a real drag, and hopefully over the next few months they'll combine everything together, maybe with the new war, fingers crossed, right? Share your thoughts on the nerfs and changes in the comment section below the video. Do me a huge favour, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.